Now is the time.
That was the best time.
That is the topic for this week is top 3 additions to Tomorrowland. We're going to be bringing our imagineering side. And full disclosure to Disney that I know that they watch us a lot. If you're watching us, Bob, Josh, feel free.
Jeff?
All of the disclaimers that uh, those are already your ideas. We don't want to be in the middle of that. We're not, but we're going to play some.
And give freely.
Yeah, it's free for you. Okay.
My number 3.
Yes.
I'm excited. This was hard to order these, but my number 3 is what I call building for tomorrow. And this is a virtual reality experience that would be built within Tomorrowland. And basically it's a VR virtual reality design and modeling experience. So imagine Test Track meets Spaceship Earth meets like the Spaceship Earth finale part meets The Void. So you know how you can design your car in Test Track, and you can imagine being able to design certain things. Maybe it's a car, maybe it's a plane or a rocket ship or something. Maybe it's a building, maybe it's something else. You get to design that. And then, but you do it around experiences. What kind of future do you want to live in? What kind of experiences do you want to have? What are the things that you're concerned about? Do you care about the environment? Do you care about transportation? Do you like all those? And then you're given those choices, and then you go into the design and build phase, and you get to put it all together, and then you get to experience it in a virtual reality environment.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like The Void, where it's not just, you're not just putting a headset, you're actually getting to be in the space and maybe even move about the space and experience your creation. I think this would be, it would be really a lot of fun because I think it meshes really well with Walt's original intent.
Mm-hmm.
One of his original for Tomorrowland, and that'd be something that's ever changing, something that's a celebration of not necessarily what we have now, but how we're building on what we have now for tomorrow in terms of technology and so forth. It's accessible as a virtual reality experience. It's highly accessible. So somebody who is maybe on an ACV or someone who's in a wheelchair, they don't even need to get out of their chair or whatever. And I just think, and you could change it constantly, change it, update it, and you could take it home with you.
What you could take in.
Whatever you created could then go home with you, so you could experience it in a Disney metaverse platform.
All right, Bob Chapek.
So you could then have access to it at home and share it with your friends and your family and so forth. It could be a lot of, I think it's my feat. Of course, I love it.
It is fun. And yeah, there's something similar. The whole project with Play Pavilion, there's some things with along that line.
My number 3 is really random, like absurdly random. But to me, this came to mind when I was actually thinking about Tomorrowland, the movie, and it's a time. Oh, this was supposed to be number 1. It's okay. But Into the Line Club, I'm going to skip with that one. So Into the Line Club is something that actually has been tossed around a little bit to my knowledge in the Disney space. I don't know how elaborate it is, but for those of you who don't know, it is a part of the Tron movie. Actually, the original as well, to my understanding, but I haven't watched it in a very long time. But this or Flynn's Arcade was 2 things that had to be on my list. But Into the Line Club took over because it would be so unique. And with Tron coming, it would be an easy tie-in. And to my knowledge, there was a little bit of rumor about this, and some of it has been shelved. Some of it was pretty authentic at one point. And there was some discussion internally about making this a reality at one point. And I know there was one, to my understanding, somebody will correct me if I'm actually wrong, but I believe there was a limited time one at Disneyland. I don't remember. I don't know if it was West Coast
It was a
Disney.
stage party. Yeah, Disneyland,
Right? Okay.
Anaheim. It was a stage party in Disney California Adventure, actually. It was great.
Yeah, and it's just, there's so many opportunities with that, especially at night. You can make this really unique, or you could make it something that was inside the park and outside of the park, for lack of a better word. But there was discussion about this at one point. But
yeah,
I want to learn more about that. You may want to read up on it a little bit. But there is some pretty legitimate claims that this could be a reality at some point, but it's something I would absolutely love to see. Tomorrowland really needs something, nighttime entertainment type stuff.
Let me go to my third option. There is a kind of an architectural design about future that was done during the 60s that I loved. Because the way that they designed the future in the 50s was one way, and the 60s was totally different.
Okay.
Okay. Let
I
me
don't
show.
This is the same thing I think it is.
Yes.
Okay.
So the whole idea is that try to think about the way they design the future in The Incredibles, or even one thing that is even better, Horizons. Is a little bit rounded and quirky, and they did the same thing with the Incredibles. Also, something like this, let me bring here, which is exaggerated, but my idea was to have those kind of models being shown in the TTC, as they do have the City of Tomorrow, the City of Progress, but adding up in other parts of the People Mover, not the TTC, sorry, the People Mover. So you have that models to appreciate, to something similar that you had before in the exit of Space Mountain, but with the little maquettes. So
You're saying like scenes,
Scenes, yeah, yeah.
like dioramas, kind
yes,
of
yes,
but to life scale. So here's a scene from, like I said, we take one of these piece of concept art, and we actually create a scene from that concept.
yes,
Oh,
like little
yeah, I
models,
understand.
little models.
I still don't, but that's okay.
I love that.
It gives me such a piece of when we, for instance, the Progress City in the People Mover, but any other scenes like that, the other part of the ride would be great. Would be great just to see a future city just moving around.
Imagine this. So imagine if my idea number 3 and your idea number 3 got together and had a baby, and you could take your environments that you saw there and virtualize them. So you can also now be in those spaces. Yep. In virtual reality. If you have it, and for those of you who have an Oculus device at home, you'll know that in the lobby, but like where you start and kind of your home base and your lobby, you can choose from different environments. You can be in the desert. You could be in the cyber city. You can be in outer space on a spaceship. Feels very lonely though. And so
I'm sure the desert does too.
yeah, that's what's cool. But you can be in these different places. And imagine if you could take some of those scenes that Carlos is talking about from this concept arts, and Disney could make money off of that too.
Let's go to Jason's number 2.
I wish that Tomorrowland Speedway would become Tomorrowland Speedway by Tesla. Because just imagine this for a moment. A world where, I don't know, you get to go into the Speedway in a Tesla, a little mini Tesla that you're in. So this Tesla is not just, running on its battery, but it's also giving you the experience of switching between driving and autonomous mode. So you get to experience, probably for the first time, an autonomous experience. And they drive around the city and they have to stop at stop signs and at lights and things. And there's people out there. Imagine if you could experience that, but in an autonomous vehicle, right? So it's all done safely. It's in Tesla's interest to remove that fear. People need to begin to experience what it's like to have the car make decisions for you, but then also be able to take control of it. Like you can, right? That would be fantastic for the brand. It'd be great for Disney because it's actually looking forward rather than backwards, which is what Tomorrowland is all about. It's not called Backwards Land. It's called Yesterday Land. It's called Tomorrowland. And no fumes, no motor sounds. Like it's just to be beautiful, and wait for it. At the end, you get to you come out, sort of like Test Track, people.
Yes.
Come out into a Tesla showroom where you can then participate in designing your own Tesla, to maybe setting up a test drive somewhere, maybe ordering a Tesla, just like you can at Test Track with what is that, Chevrolet? It's time. It's time.
Colin, you're number 2.
Yeah. So which one ended up being my number 2, Carlos? So go ahead and show it on the screen. Okay. So the Expo Hall, I like to call this the Stark Expo Hall. And I kind of think about this as a blend of what the end of Spaceship Earth did look like before they started changing things, and also a showcase of things to come in the future. And maybe it has a Marvel theme, maybe it doesn't, but instead it just showcases new innovation. Sorry, I brought that with Innovations because it makes me think of Innovations when it was original, and that some new cutting edge things, which later did not become cutting edge things. But in Tomorrowland, it would be very fitting to have not only a Marvel influence, but also something that you could actually see in a few years, or be it a showcase by Imagineering groups. Or we've also mentioned this as something that we would like to see at Disney Springs. Just an opportunity to showcase things that you're not going to see maybe tomorrow, but you may be able to get your hands on and experience for the first time that you're going to see in real life in 3 or 4 years potentially. Because there are so many of those things like Kickstarter projects and stuff that don't always become a reality, but it's neat to see the concept and they could be really elaborate, like the giant human UAV thing that just came out that they're only making 40 or 50 of in the United States, to other things that just smaller inventions that people could showcase. But I think it would have a very good place in Tomorrowland. You could really do it up to be like a Stark Expo that happens all the time and you can have a lot of fun with it. But it's a pretty simple idea, but I think there is a real world application there and something that would be pretty easy for Disney to do in a very limited space.
Colin, they doing something regarding Stark Industries, but it is exposition hall for Tony Stark's inventions. It's related to the Marvel thing. I think.
Yeah, it's in no, not Paris. It's in Tokyo, isn't
I
it?
think it's in Tokyo. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is in Tokyo.
Let's go to my second one. My idea is to take the space, no coming back of the alien encounter, no coming back of Stitch. We're gonna take that space. We're gonna take that space because remember it's a circular amphitheater, and we're gonna have Etna Bolt's fashion show. The two of them are surprised now because it was supposed to be Wally, and I changed it. It's actually Etna Bolt.
Wally was so much better.
No, you know what thing? Because the whole thing is that you're gonna have an attraction because when you walking through the queue and you're walking to the amphitheater, Disney was going to take pictures of you, and Etna gonna design outfits, special outfits for you for that show. And you're going to see in the center where you used to have Stitch and the alien, it's going to be the projections of the new models. That's why I'm calling the Etna Mold Fashion in that area.
Remember during the incredible summer thing they did that she rode around on that little thing throughout Tomorrowland?
Number one, I am so excited about this. My number one addition to Tomorrowland would be Hypertrain Diet. It's a simulated hypertrain experience where guests travel around the globe dining on cuisine inspired by the destinations visible out their dining window. So it's taking technology that Disney has already perfected. They've already rolled this out on the cruise ships in terms of having this experience. Since you're in a lounge and the view is changing, you're a different city to this city, to that city. We have Space 220, where you take a space elevator 220 miles above the Earth, above Epcot, and you have lunch or dinner there, and people will wait for hours to spend a lot of money on that sort of thing. This idea is built around the experience that people can already have in real life, which is to get on a train and sit in a lounge where you have a panoramic view. They have the panoramic cars, right? And you sit there and you can dine and see the world going by, and you can do this as a real thing. The twist here is that this is a hypertrain. And so this train is traveling, faster than bullet trains. It's like a hyperloop speed train, and it's taking you to destinations all around the world in minutes. We are passing through Brazil. And of course, we have to go under the ocean for a bit. And now we're emerging out. Oh, and look, it's Cape Town. And we're traveling around the Horn, and we're traveling. Eventually, we make it to, Asia and Tokyo. And
Buddy, and can I make a question? Was you that designed this logo?
Yeah, I did the logo.
Do
you like it?
I love it. I'm feeling the game totally changed. Look what they did.
That's my thing. I did the other logos too, featuring a future technology in terms of the hypertrains. You are showcasing the world, which has also been something that Walt was a huge fan of doing, is showing people all around the world and all the places you can go, the sponsorships you could get, but also imagine the experiences you could have in terms of upgrades. You could have the regular dining rooms. You could have the special private dining rooms. You could have the ability for people to board, even just the lounge you would sit in. People will go crazy over being able to see the world, experience food. Imagine being able to pick from your menu. Oh, do you want to have something that's inspired by Africa? Do you want to have something inspired by French cuisine? Do you want something maybe that's more Japanese? It could be great.
I love the idea. Colin, you're number one.
Yeah, my mindset on this went to a Tomorrowland play. And if you've seen the movie Tomorrowland, it was one of those movies that a lot of people didn't see. But if you did see it, most people liked it. But nonetheless, in that movie, they actually jump into a time machine, it rattles around, and then it dumps them out into a more modern version of Tomorrowland. And to me, I think this would be a good option for Disney. But instead of it being necessarily just like a screenplay experience or like a mission to Mars or something like that. When you go through the experience, it's a multifaceted thing. So you prepare for it. You get to experience the change as you go through a time machine, then it dumps you out into something that would showcase, similar to what my last one was, things of tomorrow. And maybe they're things that can't be a reality. So like maybe they're extreme things. Maybe they're things that so elaborate that they don't seem like they make sense. Like you see some of this happening at Marvel and Disney California Adventure, things flying through the air that are not human, but could be human or appear human. There's just so many different things that they could use to make this look like a futuristic space, things that you've never seen before, things that are uniquely to Disney, but it would all be self-contained. When you get back in the time machine, it takes you back to where you were originally or even before. And you could do this vice versa in either direction. So it's a new experience every time you experience.
Love that. Let's go to my number one is also one related to food. And I like actually the idea. And the space I'm thinking is that little space that it used to be a stage for a stage show that is between Carousel of Progress and Buzz Lightyear by the end of that corner there in Tomorrowland. And actually, we'll build up a restaurant there. And which restaurant? A pretty famous pizza restaurant, a sushi restaurant. Harryhausen's Sushi. In that corner there, a sushi restaurant in Magic Kingdom inspired by the Monster Incorporated movie. The idea is to have something in Magic Kingdom because Magic Kingdom requires another night's restaurant.
They need some new food.
Yes,
Yeah.
and can you imagine that we go inside there and you have animatronics of the sushi with the many tentacles and the monster sushi guys there? It'd be amazing.
It's one of my favorite scenes in the Monsters Inc. attraction in Disney California Adventure.
That's a cool attraction.
go
It doesn't
through
get
the
any
restaurant.
restaurant.
Yes, sir,
Yeah.
but it's impossible to get a reservation there. Yeah.
It's true. It's true.
So the top three additions to Tomorrowland, the buddies playing Imagineering roles with additions to Tomorrowland, and I love that, guys. I love that. Okay.